Political commentator Stephen Colbert announced Thursday on air that CBS will cancel his Late Show starting May 2026. Though CBS said in a statement the canceling the show was a purely financial decision, not related to its performance or content, the announcement follows Colbert's criticism of a settlement between President Donald Trump, Paramount Global, and CBS parent company. Some Democratic politicians accused Paramount of engaging in a quid pro quo with the Trump administration to get it to approve the company's pending multi-billion-dollar merger with Skydance Media. And here we are. Dem senators use Epstein scandal to pressure Trump FCC to drop bogus inquiry into CBS. When we last checked, CBS Paramount company executives had just paid Trump $60 million in bribe money to settle a completely baseless lawsuit. Just so we're clear, Trump's billionaire friends, the Ellisons, are going to fuse CBS with Barry Weiss's Free Press and probably TikTok, then shove the whole right-wing agitprop enchilada down America's throat, whether you like it or not. They're going to claim this war ending is hyperbolic. Then in 6 months, CBS News is running a right-wing agitprop and trans panic stories 24/7. They're going to wonder what happened with a stupid look on their face. I hope you're wrong, but we'll see. It's not the first time shit like that has happened.
Oh, hey, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight. Senator Adam Schiff was my guest. We harmonized on 7 Bridges Road. What a voice. I cried. But before we start the show,
Before I start reviewing this, sorry, I do need to gayify things slightly, so allow us a couple moments. Bum, ba, 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 ba. There we go. A little more.
I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And
so yesterday on The Leftist Mafia, we were having a really fun time. It was a good show. If you haven't watched it, go check it out, because we got to rip into this entire Trump Epstein stuff, and it's really one of the only little pieces of joy in an otherwise cruel and horrifying world. And I'd rather talk about how Donald Trump really appears to be a serial pedophile rapist and all his followers are part of the elite pedophile cabal now than go down that rabbit hole of talking about the war crimes that my country's complicit in, your country's probably complicit in, depending on where you're watching this. If you happen to be one of the nations that isn't supporting Israel, man, do I envy you. But yeah, it feels horrible and wretched, and every day you feel rough. And I noticed a lot of right-wingers who were upset about us talking about this were jumping into everyone's chats and just spamming, Colbert got canceled, suck it leftists, Colbert's done, the left in shambles, all this kind of stuff. And I hadn't even followed the Colbert story at that point, and I was surprised by it because I don't know which leftists you think are sad about this. If you told me that Trump had taken down the Colbert Report, well then I'd be like, fuck, the Colbert Report was funny. That was good satire. I'm really sad about that. Colbert, the late night show, has been liberal ass propaganda for such a long time. It has been revolting to watch, and honestly, it's just seeing someone go as mainstream as you can possibly go and get neutered was never fun. I never liked it. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like watching it. I never thought it really worked. I thought it was a strange fit, and years have gone by, and he's never really gotten into it. But I do know that the right hates him. They hate him because of some of the liberal things that he talks about, such as vaccines are safe and effective. They fucking hated that. Talks about how Trump is bad, Orange Man bad. They fucking hated that. So to them, he was a big enemy because he's on mainstream television, and then they are the ones controlling the narrative and all this kind of stuff. It really made them all fucking angry and upset. So I guess they were really happy that it got taken down. I, for one, it's no loss to me in terms of TV I'm watching. What is concerning, though, is the behind-the-scenes story that this is kind of painting a picture of, that it does look like Donald Trump, and again, rich and powerful people at the top and the executives, a lot of these multinational corporations, the consolidation of only a few media companies that control everything we watch and see and consume, are effectively going to start censoring people that might be in opposition to them, even from a liberal standpoint. Even liberalism or liberal ideals is becoming too much for a fascistic agenda. That's really scary. That is a horrifying precedent. That is like like I said, one of the few things that's left in terms of America descending into a complete totalitarian nightmare, fucking fascistic empire. That's one of the things, is that you still have comedians who have the freedom to be able to criticize and mock their leaders ruthlessly. And that, to me, is a fundamental principle, something that I do stand behind. I am a huge proponent of the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, even though I'm not even an American. But in terms of all the Constitution, articles, that's a fucking badass one. That one really does seem like it was instilled primarily to avoid the idea of a monarchy where you can't criticize a king or a queen or whatever the fuck Prince Andrew is supposed to be. You ultimately need that for a healthy society. You need to have a free press. You need to have a press unburdened by the constrictions placed upon it by the government. If you want to look at other totalitarian governments around the world, that seems to be a very consistent pattern where you are unable to question the things that they do, whether or not they're good and benevolent or whether or not they are bad. It's still important to be able to talk about that. So there's still 249 comedians left. I mean, it's like everything else that Trump has done, though, right? Every step along the way is one more check mark in the book of here are the telltale signs of fascism, whether it be othering another group. In the case of Trump, he started with pro-Palestinian activists as well as what they considered to be illegal immigrants, and they expanded that very rapidly into all immigrants and choosing them as the group to attack, as well as trans people, trying to pass as much legislation as they can to effectively block trans people in their eyes from even existing. They're othering and attacking groups at the start that they know will have the smallest amount of pushback, and they were right. Like if you looked at what happened with Abrego Garcia, for example, a lot of Democrats were like, this is not our fight. We shouldn't be talking about this. This is not something that we can win. We should be concentrating on the meat and potatoes issues. Let's not go there. And so, yeah, there is a vulnerable group that the right can attack, that the right can illegally set up these, fascistic Gestapos to try and attack and round people up. And in that process, do some really terrible things. That's one of the list. But they hadn't started jailing or executing their political opponents. That's not something that they've done. They've tried detaining and arresting their political opponents. They've done that a couple times when they've spoken out or tried to stop an ICE protest or something like that. So they're pushing the boundary and seeing how much they can get away with. In terms of not obeying judges or the judiciary, again, they started doing that. Like, we're just not going to obey the judges. In fact, we're going to turn on the judges and start saying that maybe there isn't this necessity to have different levers of power that keep each other in checks and balances and simply deny their authority. We could say that these are actually instigators, that these judges are anti-American. These judges are actually the enemies of the American people, and they're trying to stop us. So we're going to attack them now. We're going to attack the judicial branch, even though we've stacked the judicial branch pretty conclusively. That's another check. And if this is a case, if behind the scenes there's a situation in which they are simply, because like people were arguing that he got canceled because he's not funny. I agree. I don't find him funny. But funny, again, unfortunately for all of us, right, is not objective. It's subjective. It's up to every single person to determine what they find or not find funny. And so that alone wouldn't speak to that. He's the highest rated late night host on television. So it wasn't that. I did have to look it up. I didn't know that, but he was the highest rated late night host. So it wasn't based solely on the sheer success of the show or the low ratings or something like that either.
Yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of the Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience.
I don't give a crap about Colbert, but it's not about that. That's the thing. I would have to make the same argument, even if it was Jimmy fucking Fallon. I hate Jimmy Fallon. I would actually celebrate if Jimmy Fallon wasn't able to do his shitty-ass Jimmy Fallon shit on TV anymore, because fuck that guy. But if the reason that Jimmy Fallon suddenly lost his show was because of backdoor deals that are happening between billionaire executives who are specifically trying to silence critics of Donald Trump, that's bigger than all of this. That's bigger than whether or not you like these people, whether or not you find them funny, or whether or not you even found this show entertaining.
Who have joined us. Every night, in here, out there, all around the world, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. I'm grateful to share the stage with this band, these artists over here every night. And I am extraordinarily, deeply grateful to the 200 people who work here. We get to do this show. We get to do this show for each other every day, all day. And I've had the pleasure and the responsibility of sharing what we do every day with you in front of this camera for the last 10 years. And let me tell you, it is a fantastic job. I wish somebody else was getting it. And it's a job that I'm looking forward to doing with this usual gang of idiots for another 10 months. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
We're gonna lock in.
Y'all ready?
Let's go.
Y'all ready? Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Dante, let's do the show. Jazz cowboy, blap it on the poof.
What? Steven, you're making this really hard. You're making it hard to defend you right now. I mean, maybe an Italian dictatorship isn't that bad. maybe it's what we need. No, I'm joking. Obviously, it's horrifying, the scary precedents. All right, let's check this out. CBS canceled Stephen Colbert's show days after Trump's settlement criticism. The late-night host had scoffed at the decision by CBS parent company to pay the U.S. president $16 million over a disputed interview. Comedian and political commentator Stephen Colbert announced Thursday on air that CBS will cancel his Late Show starting May 2026. Though CBS said in a statement the canceling the show was a purely financial decision, not related to its performance or content, the announcement follows Colbert's criticism of a settlement between President Donald Trump, Paramount Global, and CBS parent company. If you're wondering, by the way, if you have a highly rated show that is also a brand ambassador for your network, this doesn't normally happen. It happens if the ratings are dipping, if you're having internal conflicts. There could be a number of reasons. If there's a ongoing merger and then they want to, start dealing with different properties. But if it's just, again, the top-rated late-night show on television, and again, happens to be a very effective brand ambassador for your company, this is pretty strange. Paramount agreed to pay Trump $60 million to settle a lawsuit over edits to an October 2020 interview conducted on CBS's 60 Minutes with Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Colbert, who frequently skewered Trump on a show, called the settlement a big fat bribe on air this Monday. Trump cheered the end of the show Friday on Truth Social, his social media site, saying that he absolutely loves the decision. His talent was even less than his ratings, he said. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. Press freedom groups and advocates of Trump's lawsuit, which accused CBS of editing the interview to portray Harris more favorably, was frivolous. And the settlement, according to them, will further embolden the president's attacks against the media. If you weren't following this lawsuit, because there's just so much other shit going on, it is pretty ridiculous. Like, 60 Minutes still has a right to air and edit the clips they want to push a narrative. They can't fabricate, like, lie. They can't straight up say Donald Trump said that he's a Scientologist and Lord Xenu is our Lord and Master. He said that verbatim, the words that came out of his mouth, and he loves to eat diapers filled with duty. They can't just say that as this is a factual statement that we believe to be true, and we're putting it out there, that now people can source us as the evidence behind that. Like, yes, you'll get sued to fucking high heaven. But if you are like, we're going to selectively edit a certain amount of this clip to push a narrative that we are obviously editorializing, we're not going to show the whole clip, or we're going to edit it in some way, that's very, very different than suddenly saying that you defamed me, or this was done maliciously in such a way that I can now sue you successfully. So it was a really weird thing to see that CBS decided to settle rather than take this all the way to court. Some Democratic politicians accused Paramount of engaging in a quid pro quo with the Trump administration to get it to approve the company's pending multi-billion-dollar merger with Skydance Media. And here we are. When companies are of a certain size, obviously it's going to need governmental approval for a merger to take place. I mean, ideally, this would be something or a step that prevents there being monopolies and, the impossibility for competition to ever exist within the free market against these dominating spheres. But unfortunately, it seems more and more again that enough backdoor deals when this much money is at play prevent, that from being stopped. If Paramount and CBS ended the Late Show for political reasons, the public deserves to know. I agree. Colbert alluded to the settlement made by Paramount earlier this week. I don't know if anything will repair my trust in this company, Colbert said on Monday. But just taking a stab at it, I'd say $16 million would help. On Thursday, he said the Late Show would end, and he is not being replaced. This is all just going away, as the audience responded with loud boos. The Late Show first aired in 1993, and Colbert took over the host in 2015. From the outside, the idea made no sense at all. Why would a broadcast network cancel one of its best-known shows that ranks #1 in its time slot? But on the inside, at CBS, there were several plausible answers to the question. While the Late Show host Stephen Colbert was on his usual midsummer vacation earlier this month, CBS executives weighed the pros and cons of canceling the unique but unfortunate unprofitable show. The cons were obvious, as evidenced by the student audience boos when Colbert announced his cancellation on Thursday night. However, the pros ultimately won out because, according to the source close to the network, the Late Show was losing money and there was no apparent path to turning around its financial decision. It was an agonizing decision, as executives admitted in a statement, but CBS insiders insist, even when speaking frankly on the condition of anonymity, that the move was simply financial driven, not politically motivated. Many observers have huge doubts about that, given that Colbert has been an outspoken critic of President Trump, so here's what the data indicates. The bottom has indeed been falling out for the late night TV business model for several years. That's also part of it, right? Like, less and less people watch TV in general. That demographic is aging, as you know, younger generations. I mean, I don't know how many Gen Xers choose TV and newsprint over the internet, but as a millennial, I can tell you, millennials onward through Gen Z, and I'm sure one day Gen Alpha, all of us just use the internet. I mean, I've never paid for cable packages. I just use the internet, and I get my news and entertainment and movies and all that through the fiber optic. That's because even though Colbert outranked his competition, the overall audience for late night has been shrinking. Ad dollars and audiences are moving away from late night shows. The financial picture has gotten gloomier since then. Guideline, an ad data firm, estimates the network's late night shows earned $439 million in ad revenue in 2018, but only $220 million in 2024. That's a decline of 50%. The shows hosted by Colbert and his rivals, Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, are inherently expensive to produce, with hundreds of staffers and elaborate studio productions. I mean, then we should be seeing a trend, right? We should see like late night shows across the board start to falter. But couldn't CBS have explored changes to the cost structure? That's what the network did later in the evening. In its 2:35 a.m. time slot in 2023, The Late Late Show with James Corden ended, partly due to the fact that it was no longer making money for CBS, and a cheaper show called After Midnight was launched in its place. Colbert was an executive producer on After Midnight and The Late Show, and he had some visibility into the financial circumstances. But the swiftness of the network decision suggests there wasn't given much time to suggest cost-saving or other alternatives. A casualty of a merger. That's why one person close to Colbert described the show's retirement, effective in May, as a casualty of the merger. The merger is CBS parent company Paramount long gestating deal with Skydance, a media company controlled by David Ellison, son of Oracle billionaire Larry Ellison. The elder Ellison is a longtime friend of President Trump and has previously described himself as a Trump supporter, and David Ellison was spotted with the president earlier this year at UFC matches. The pending deal matters for two reasons. One, because companies almost always try to cut costs around the time of a merger, and two, because the deal requires the sign-off from the Trump administration. Paramount entered into a settlement and agreement with Trump earlier this month to resolve Trump's lawsuit against CBS News program 60 Minutes. The company said it would pay $60 million towards Trump's future presidential library. Trump suggested at the time that there were other components to the settlement. While there's no evidence that Colbert's cancellation is connected with the settlement, Democratic senators like Elizabeth Warren were asking questions about the possibility. So, yeah, I mean, there seems to be pretty conclusive, I guess, suggestible evidence here that deal that CBS did in the first place, the one where they were like, we're going to just accept the settlement, even though we would probably win this case in court, that it is a frivolous lawsuit, we'll pay out $60 million to your library foundation if you go through with approving our merger, because if you approve our merger, that's worth billions, right? So what's $60 million? Yeah, sure, we'll settle the frivolous lawsuit. We can care less about that. We want this merger to be able to go through. And yes, provide more distractions from fucked up shit that Trump does, like being all over the Epstein files. At the very least, CBS executives moved forward with the retirement of the Late Show franchise, knowing the optics would cause all manners of controversy. Trump personally celebrated, and he absolutely loves. He got fired. Yeah. Interesting. Trump gave it all away, talking about how happy he was that Colbert was getting fired. This ain't settled. Yeah, and they have a lot of shareholders, Redstone, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs. You know what sucks is that, like, so much of the right-wing conspiracy side of the internet, they hate some of those companies, but they're never willing to connect the dots if any of the pathways lead to their team. Like, it's not exactly that they actually don't like BlackRock, or they don't like massive investment firms, or they don't like any of these, like, international global corporations, because fundamentally these are bad for society and they fuck everyone over. It's just that they want to see it take down the people they don't like. Like, is this thing associated with someone we don't like? Who don't we like? Bill Gates. So is this Bill Gates? Yes? All right, then fuck them. They're bad. Yeah, those ones are bad. Is it associated with George Soros? Fuck him. That's bad. Yeah, we don't like those things. Those are associated with what we consider to be the bad guys. But is it associated with Donald Trump? then it's good. Yeah, then this is good. Yeah, crypto, Donald Trump, Trump coin, all that stuff. That's all good. We like that because that's on the side of the team that we like, you know?
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwig, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's patreon.com/theserfs.